Just one for good measure.
Clap on.
There's another sound in the middle of the claps that's going to totally F me. So I had to do one more. I don't know. I should show you guys how I do the behind the scenes production
Never
stuff.
seen it.
It's pretty interesting. I got some AI bots doing stuff for me now. They just click a button, it goes.
We're going to be obsolete in about a month.
We will be. Maybe that means more time in the woods.
Can you just take all of our voices from all the podcasts and have that
Dude, someone
AI
did I just read about it in the news today. Someone did someone fed an AI bot news article and it generated 3 talking voices to discuss the topic, and he put it out as a podcast. Not a single human being or mic was needed. Greg, I feel like you would enjoy that.
Our biggest concern was the TikTok, and now
we got that.
Greg's
we got a robotic podcast.
Yeah.
You're probably better than us.
Okayest Hunter podcast.
Could be.
Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Whoops. Another week, another podcast.
Here we go.
Here it is. Coming at you live from the Okayest Hunter podcast studio, brought to you by Half Rack. You got the hat on, Derek.
I like this hat.
You're the real deal.
It's a nice hat.
Woo! Fancy man over here. Go to half-rack.com. I brought the cooler into work today. We had a cookout, and I looked at the list of everything people were bringing, and everything I wanted to bring was already taken, but I didn't see beer on the list. So I had a fridge full of beer, and I just took the beer in the fridge, jumped into the Half-Rack cooler, brought that into work. Everyone's like, whoa, look at this cooler. And
Nice.
I'm like, look what's inside the cooler. There's some beer. So it was like 12 o'clock, and people at Gunpowder are cracking beers.
It's perfect. Good work day.
So it's very productive today. You feel great already. Let's roll. If every Tuesday was like this, we'd be in a lot better position. Look, I haven't messed anything up. I got the title right. We're on time.
Hey,
no technical glitches.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Still plenty of time yet.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 50 seconds in. I think you're right, Greg. Anywho, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in each and every week. And I think I saw a couple more ratings or reviews come through. Actually, I made an announcement today on Facebook and LinkedIn. Personally, I made a personal announcement. We are now a network of 6 podcasts.
Hell yeah.
So that's pretty neat, guys.
10 million strong and growing. Huh?
10 million. Yeah, no, maybe.
To the Okayest
Not
network.
quite. Not quite. Yeah, we're only Okayest. So certainly not 10 million. But yeah, we just launched this-ish week. We launched Southern U, which is a Southern-focused land management podcast. So of course there's some deer hunting in there, but there's also a lot of like soil pH balance from wildlife biologists and more stuff than I know about.
All the conservation stuff.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of colorful language coming from the Southern dialect or lexicon, whatever you want to call it. And then our good buddy Paul Campbell came on the network with turkey season, which isn't what you think. Tell me what you think it is. Do you think it's about turkey hunting?
I'm sure there has some brushes of turkey hunting in it, but I bet it's more historical, biological.
You'd be
fun
right, sir.
stuff.
Yeah, it's very narrative story.
Paul
the
is
history of turkeys.
Paul
in
is
this country.
very up to date on all that stuff.
Episode
He's going
1.
deep.
He's got his pilot episode that we just launched or debuted today, and then his first episode is next Wednesday, and it is a doozy of a good one. In fact, the voice of the guest he has, it's like the most creamy, dreamy voice you've ever heard in your life. I was like, does he do like Home Depot commercials? Like, who is this guy? I've never heard a voice like this in my life.
Guy.
Yeah.
And I guess he had done voice talent like workshops. And you listen to him, I feel like I'm listening to like what's his name? Some actor, like some old actor that has like this commanding voice, you know?
It's an AI bot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep,
yeah,
yes,
that's what
yes,
it is. And
And
then of course
winning the world.
That's a
we have
bummer.
Okayest Fisher, we have Upduck, Onset. Please tell me I'm not forgetting anybody. That's everybody, right? That's 6. I can't count this high. This is gonna be a problem for me.
I didn't even start counting.
You're just gonna have to run around barefoot now, so you can count on all your toes.
So it's kind of neat to see the growth. It's exciting. There's other people kind of joining our ranks and doing Okayest stuff out there. So if you haven't checked it out, you listen to us on Spotify, you can click OKS Hunter Network, and you can see the other podcasts. You can search for them individually. You can go to iTunes, do the same. It's all linked together through wizardry. I don't know how it happens, but it's a thing. So there's that.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And then we also have a lot of partners. Go Wild, Spartan Forge, Latitude. I don't want to talk about your Latitude experience, do I? Am I comfortable doing that?
You've already brought it up once, so we might as well bring it up.
The wound is open and you just poured salt in it. Way to go.
It's not Latitude's fault. I'm not going to point the finger at them, even though I want to. No, I don't. No, I took Eric and I just were playing with some saddle platforms because we got in the new X-Wing one, and Eric grabbed the X-Wing, and then I got his cool Lone Wolf custom gear Ambush.
Yeah, the old Cooner,
the big
Ambush,
one.
the big one.
So I just picked it up last week, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put this sucker to use. It was my first time using the saddle this season, and I had an encounter with the number one buck I was hunting at a very, very close range, and I could not get spun around to my weak side in time and get a shot. So my fault, but I feel like if I had been in my trusty lock-on, probably be having a couple of these to celebrate my biggest public land buck to date.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. That's why we hunt.
But you had fun in the saddle.
It was pretty cool having an encounter at like 4 yards, 5 yards with a gigantic buck. So
when I got the X-Wing, and it was meant for you to be like, it was for Derek, because Derek didn't have a platform, and I was like, let's get Derek a platform. I got my hands on the thing, and I just couldn't give it to you.
Thing's pretty sweet.
I was going to. I gave you the option. I said you can have it, but I'm just showing you how it fits in my backpack really nicely.
He had a presentation lined up. I want to show you.
I was really nervous about it. I was like, I really want you to take what you want here, but God, don't take the X-Wing. I really enjoyed hunting out of that thing, and I really enjoyed how it's changed my setup, like my packability.
It just fits way better. Dude, did you find it comfortable when you used it? Like, did you like that split design?
It wasn't too much, like, I don't want to say too much different than the Lone Wolf Custom Gear one. That one's huge. It gives you a lot of options. This one gave you a similar assortment of options without being as large. So if you're looking to cut down form factor size, it's a good option for sure. You can still get your feet are pretty comfortable.
When guys like it or they hate it, they'll buy it, and either you'll see it up on Marketplace for sale right away, or people are raving about how awesome it is.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm one of the enthusiasts for it. Obviously, we've been on Blue Force Tracker now. I think it's officially something we're trying to do more. I'm still not sure I'm doing it right. I've not had time to reach out to Bill to figure out what the hell I'm doing, because I noticed that you guys were seeing the same pin, but I wasn't seeing the acorn pin. Unless you shared the same picture twice. I don't know. But I outlined a property, sent you guys emails, and invited you into this property that I'm trying to like e-scout the shit out of.
This is the one you sent.
Yeah, I feel like a
the other night, right?
Yeah. I just can't wait to get eyes on it,
Oh, just get in there.
Just go out and get in there.
Yeah. So this weekend,
just dive right in.
It's Holly's birthday this weekend. I gotta watch my.
You got an anniversary. You got the weekend.
I know.
Birthday.
October's a rough month. It really is a lull. So that brings us to
all of hunting activity.
So is September.
Well, just we do have guests on with us here. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Sorry for all the BS and what we're doing here, but we got Ev. How you doing?
Hey, doing awesome. How you guys doing?
Good. And oh gosh, am I gonna forget a name? I think I am.
Jamie.
Is it Jamie? Okay, thank you. I was just about to say it. I just get scared. I was going to say Jennifer or something on accident and totally shit that. I usually goof up last
name. The conversation, guys.
Yeah, we were back here kind of laughing and listening, and yeah, it sounds like you guys have a good time on this, which is really cool.
Yeah, we're only 2 sips into bourbon, so we got
try
lots more good times ahead of us tonight.
It'll get more interesting as we go.
I bet.
But you guys have been in this industry for, I mean, I'm not going to say that you're old, but you've been at it for a lot longer than we have. I think your first purchase of camouflage was when I was 1 year old. So let's get our DeLorean and speed up to 88. And why don't you introduce yourselves and talk about where we came from here?
No, I have been in the industry a long time. I started working for Cabela's building hunting clothing in 87. That's hard for me to even think about. That was a long time ago, but still pretty young at heart and making it all happen and still having fun doing it. And it was a heck of a run at Cabela's. And I started working with Jamie there, I guess about 10 years ago, actually. And we just really hit it off and really excited to be working with her again. So anything you want to know about the camouflage, kind of the history of camouflage, I'm probably as good of a resources you're going to find. I've been around a while.
That's awesome. I'm pushing buttons over here. Sorry.
Yeah, what are you doing on our screen
I
here?
was trying to bring in the people are commenting, so I was like, oh, I can bring them in. Then it's like morphing around all kind of weird. But 87, that's a long time ago in the retail world. A lot has changed. We have obviously e-commerce, commerce content, social media, affiliate marketing. There's like a ton that has changed that landscape. And obviously Cabela's got purchased out by Bass Pro Shop, and they're kind of like one-ish entity. And you're not with them anymore, as far as I understand. So, like, what's that journey been like?
Well, it was, it was just time for me to do something different. It wasn't really about the transaction or the change that was happening there. I just 30 years of it and was just ready to do something different, and kind of ventured off and did a few different things, and then settled back into this adventure here about 3 years ago, I guess, actually.
3 years, huh? So that would have been, you were one of those guys like us that started during COVID. What were we thinking?
Yeah. I missed out on some really good times on the direct consumer market.
Yeah.
It's everybody said, man, you missed the good days. You're starting at the wrong time, but we were ready to start. So we did it anyway,
Yeah, we're definitely coming off the COVID high from a retail standpoint. You can see there's like consumer reports coming out in the outdoor category. Like you can see the bell curve or the spike of COVID, and we're back to 2019 numbers.
Yep.
For sure. I mean, it definitely is back to 2019 in terms of like outdoor hunt retail stuff. It's very interesting to navigate that now.
Prices climbed up so much too. I mean, that's another problem.
Inflation. Yeah, it's an interesting time to be trying to run a freaking business. I think, and you guys are in a niche of a niche. Like hunting is one category, but bow hunting is another. Like, it's not like, I mean, obviously you can wear your stuff while you're gun hunting and put some blaze over it. But talk about the brand a little bit of Code of Silence. Let's just kind of start there, and then I do want to get in the DeLorean because I do want to hear this like evolution here.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. Yeah, the brand really, I guess as all good brands should start from, came from, the need out there in the marketplace. I'm a super avid bow hunter, as Jamie is as well, and spend my time chasing all kinds of critters with the bow. I hunt with the rifle too, and shotguns and do it all, but really found myself about 4 years ago going, how come there is not a line of clothing that I can really wrap my arms around and feel like it's a true enabler for a bow hunter? I can pick up a brand new sweet shooting bow, new broadhead that's, super accurate, maybe a pair of boots that are going to keep me warm, and say, this is going to change the game. But as much as I've been around in clothing, maybe this is a little bit of a back on me of how can you be in it 30 years and not have, completed a level of clothing that is that much of a difference maker. But I mean, literally, I found myself climbing trees higher and higher, hiding behind, tree trunks, trying to get deer to, close, not being able to stay warm, just not having the level of quietness, and going, this is not right. The archer in general, to me, had taken their game to that level where they needed a true enabler, and said, what would that look like? And hence Code of Silence came about.
That's pretty awesome. Sorry, go ahead, Derek. You are ready to go.
No, I think that's a great explanation and great reasoning. Like just noticing it as a bow hunter, obviously, like all the different aspects of like what you expect your clothing to do: keep you warm, keep you hidden, stay quiet. Like noticing it from a bow hunter's perspective, but then noticing it from the perspective of a guy who sounds like he's been around all the different brands of camo for a long time, and noticing that like it wasn't just you assuming there was this hole in the market or a hole in like what was offered to bow hunters. You saw it every day and you capitalized on it, and now you're making this product that I can't wait to hear a little bit more about.
Well, it's funny, and I think you guys can relate to this context, but I'm a big time walleye fisherman too. I fish a lot of tournaments and stuff like that, and I have I have G Loomis $400 rods that I just they're my go-to. And start of a tournament, I realized I left my rod at home. I'm going back, almost. And same thing with some of the varmint rifles I've had put together that are just tack drivers, and I mean they're just game changers. But as it relates to clothing, I mean, if you and I were going out to my hunting spot and we got out there and I'm like, going through the gate and I'm like, oh, I forgot my clothes at home. And you go, I got to set in back. You can borrow them. That's just, not serving the clothing benefit well enough. I mean, with Code of Silence, I'm going back. If that happens, I'm going back. I think it's that much of a difference maker, and really did never see that context sort of living out in clothing. So that was really the mother of the invention for us.
The fact that you have the wherewithal to like, and the ability to do it. Like I have ideas every day, and half of them will die before they ever see the light of anything, because that's a lot. Like you have to source material, create a supply chain, manufacture. Where are you gonna do it? Overseas? Here? You're gonna import? Like there's just so many variables. You got to design it, test it. Like, holy crap! The fact that you decided, like, I have this idea as a bow hunter of this thing that can make it better, but then from here to reality of what that ends up being, that's a freaking journey. And
hence the 3 years, guys. If you remember that, it's like it does take a lot of time. And
how's it?
Pretty much a one-man show at that point. Jamie came on here earlier this spring, but it takes a lot of work, especially when you're kind of trying to invent something you're really not sure what it looks like. I mean, we can talk about the camo, we can talk about the fabrics, we can talk about some of the designs, but it wasn't like you had a template and said, hey, I'm just going to go mimic this or make something like this. And so it drove a few people crazy. I'll guarantee that.
So I guess that makes me curious. Like, what you want to do. You want to make this bow hunting garment that's going to serve the purpose. And
I like the word enabled. The bow hunter. That's a nice word.
Be the ultimate. Like, this is what you need to do it. What was, like, you didn't want to mimic something, but like, what was your bullet list? Like, what were your bullet points of like, it needs to do this. I want this. I want this. I want this. Like, what were your big ideas that you knew you wanted to hit?
It's a great question.
That's a good question.
We kind of have the big five, but there's probably bigger three inside of that five, Jamie.
Yep.
You want to talk about that?
The biggest thing is, concealment, silence, and warmth were the three main things that felt while there's a huge offering out there today, we feel like we could do better. And it goes back to the point of where you're spending a lot of time hiding behind brush and a tree to hide from your camo. You're losing the whole point of what camouflage is used for. And I think that, those are the necessities from a bow hunter, is to be silent, is to be warm, so you're out there longer, and to blend in and not be noticed. And those are what drove Code of Silence.
And inside of that, I would say we broke a lot of rules, or conventional rules or conventional thought.
Yeah.
Our warmth is in thermal regulations really, I guess, sort of, foundationally considers breathability and the use of air, fundamentally, which pretty basic principles. But when you look at how other people are doing it, it's always about, you have to have this laminate, or you have to have this super great wind stopper. And I mean, you guys are bow hunters. You can relate to the rubber boot analogy, and I love them.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Free, waterproof, but they're the coldest darn things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And in
They
principle,
are.
that's really the same thing that goes on in clothing. It's a different level, but breathability to us, it's about moisture management, and perspiration. When you're always talking about activity, get to the stand, and then you're going to sit there for long hours, primarily as a whitetail bow hunter, that's what you're doing. But so how do you manage perspiration? Well, to us, it's not about managing; it's about eliminating it. So everything we do is about zero, moisture, and trying to, at least that as a goal. That's almost impossible to hit, but our breathabilities are completely different than you'll see in most conventional cold weather clothing.
Interesting.
But if you go to the Arctic, it's funny. I mean, it's like, okay, well, you're just thinking for yourself. But I mean, you look at Arctic expeditions, and first thing they cut out are some of the laminates and things like that. Number one, they don't need them because it's so cold that moisture is in the form of ice and snow. But the breathability that allows them, and the moisture control is a difference maker for them. So,
and do you guys have like any base layers that pair with what you have, or like what layer of like the how do you have base layer, mid layer, outer layer? Like how am I dressing in this? Mid to late season.
It's a great question, and that's kind of part of the circle we're really working to close in 24. Yep. Primarily, we're in the outerwear side of it. We have some mid layers and some stuff that works, okay for mid layers at this point. But you can imagine it was hard enough to get. We have think 11 styles, 12 styles of clothing out right now. And to have, true mid layers and then base layer, lightweight stuff. I mean, you're in that 40, 50 style range pretty quick, and probably a second step for us, if not third. But we're working on that. But right now we're focused on the outer stuff.
Is the so I'm just assuming that your outer layer is designed to be worn out, like moisture management's huge. Is this something that, you feel like you can walk into the woods with, even like on a cold day, and like perspiration's not, is it breathing enough? Because I'm the guy who, like, I'm a real sweaty guy, and anytime I'm doing like physical activity, I get super hot. Like, my whole family's real warm blooded. So, like, Wisconsin opening day of gun season, I'm in my thermal long underwear, packing in all my clothes on my backpack, and it's like 4 degrees.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like, that's what I do. And then I put on everything, because nothing that I wear, all my warm stuff, none of it really breathes. So I'm not wearing it into the stand. Is that what yours is designed to do, is be able to wear it in?
Absolutely. Particularly the upper half or the colder weather side. We have our more active series is not necessarily put it on close to the stand or at the stand type stuff. It's built for, walking in more mild conditions where what you just talked about is not quite so critical. But we have full length leg zippers in our bibs and our pants and our upper series, and for that exact purpose. I think we've all been there with. It's not about just putting on over the top of boots. It's about boots that are wet on the outside and are snow covered, and we know what a pain that is to make that happen. So definitely prescribing that. That whole system, whether it's our clothing is benefiting you and helping you on the moisture management side, is sort of irrelevant. You need to be doing that in any way you possibly can, right. Which goes in. If I'm not going in cold, I know I'm going to get cold when I get there, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is this so, like, okay, warm, concealable, silent, on the consideration of warmth in snowy, rainy conditions, which we'll have in the Midwest, especially in the October, November months. It's raining a lot. I mean, I remember a lot of Halloweens as a kid in the rain, which sucked as a kid wearing a costume.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
Still happening now. I don't think that's true.
Yeah. But as far as like wearing, is it a wool? Like, what's the? I mean, I don't want you to give me the recipe to the sausage or the pudding, but is it a wool base that it can get wet, or like that'll help wick away that moisture? Let's talk about what happens when it gets wet. I just want to make sure we're covering off on what people would have questions about.
Yep. So all of our products right now are wool composites. We don't have anything that's 100% wool. We would make it 100% wool, but there's other managing factors there in terms of overall durability, washability, price, cost. We put as much wool in it as we possibly can and balance those other factors off. We have some products that are as low as 25% wool and some that are over in the mid 50s right now. So we're sort of all over that spectrum, but we don't have anything that we would say is rain gear right now. We do fine when it's, light mist, light moisture. And we can build waterproof gear with the best of them. I have, and that's not a hard thing to do. But right now, with the focus being on quietness and on breathability, more cold weather scenarios, kind of building waterproof gear sort of, I don't say it contradicts that. It's just not completely consistent with the focus, if that makes sense.
No, it does, and that's why I'm kind of. So then again, on the ideal whitetail bow hunt excursion, if you will, or adventure or shenanigans, whatever
wherever you're at on that
spectrum, and we cover off on quite a bit of them here. I think the silent, quiet part, and I, you'll have to validate this for me because I've done a small amount of research, but I've also read a little bit about the way that your camouflage and garments absorb light, whereas some others may reflect light. And we were just talking about how Derek was showing up on his trail cam in some capacities. I don't know if he's washed his clothes with something that has like that UV detergent. And then he was kind of like his white top was, or his top was like white. Not, I wouldn't say glowing, but white, but your camo pants were fine. So clearly there is something to that. And I don't know if that's a light UV thing or what have you, but I'm curious.
It's material most of the time. If it's a rayon or something like that, it just has a tendency to reflect light, no matter what type of light it is.
And to echo Greg, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Fabrics is everything with that. And there is definitely something to the light absorbency story. Everyone's talking UV type stuff, but where we talk about our big three: silence, warmth, and camouflage or concealment, the light absorbency story is probably the biggest part of our camouflage story. Would you agree?
Yeah. And being fully transparent, it probably didn't start out there. We didn't realize, I don't think we could deliver the level of difference in concealment that we are.
Right.
And we really just kind of wanted to do what we thought were best practices. Believe me, I had more clothing in my hands, probably hunting clothing, than anyone else that I ever heard of, and in 30 years and thousands of styles. But this, sort of my go-to over the years, things that rose to the top were the jacquard knitted fabrics, the high pile fabrics that just naturally, absorb light. The woods are 100% organic. They're 100% porous, and it only makes sense that, having natural componentry and less synthetics would allow you to mimic the reflectances and the absorbances found in the woods. I mean, it's really why you can't see a deer sometimes when they're right below you, and you got to listen for the leaves to crackle and go, she's right there now. And it's the same principle, really, that's going on light absorbances. It's why waterfowlers, 10 years ago started going into flocked heads versus plastic heads, because the waterfowl, apparently we're noticing the difference. And I think there's a lot to be defined here, and a lot to be leveraged, and a lot to be benefited from as a bow hunter. I honestly tell anybody, if they ask me why to buy the clothing, it's like, oh, it's really warm, it's really quiet, it's really form-fitting, it's got great features, it's got great function. Concealment really looks cool. The effect of white-tailed deer particularly, which I've tested the most, to go visually undetected is completely different than anything else I've ever worn.
And that's saying a lot.
That's a pretty hard statement to make, And
but that's speaking to 30 years of experience.
I'm like, it's a big deal.
Yep.
But we're really in the laboratories on this right now, trying to understand fully and completely what's going on. But Camo has always had two legs on the stool. It's always been about color, and it's always been about pattern. And there might be some people generally saying, oh, I like the fact this is a little faded, a little drab, a little whatever, but no one's really gone down that path to say, why does what is good light absorbance mimicry look like in the woods? And that's what we're really all in on right now.
That's something I definitely wouldn't have really thought about. Like, I think you subconsciously can notice that. Like, you watch a whole bunch of hunting videos, watch YouTube stuff all the time, and there's a pretty popular Camo brand that has the attached hoods that guys are always using, and it's all synthetic, very smooth material.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see
like a shimmer.
because it's
shiny.
It's just, you can see
Shiny.
the human outline so much easier, right? Like on something like Shimmer and Shine. It's my daughter's favorite show. That's what that Camo's doing up there.
Oh, I was thinking about Moana.
You were singing Moana for sure.
Anyway.
Why we don't think about that, and I don't know, you guys can call me crazy for thinking this, but I mean, the reality is we don't view camouflage in the way of being a tool or an enabler for us. We view it as kind of a look good, feel good. And that's what it's more been a style side. We call it almost like wearing a uniform versus wearing a tool. Like that's why we don't think of it. And
that's a really good point. And I'll interject because I think I fall into that camp, and I don't think about it like a uniform, but it is the clothing that I keep separate from my other clothing. It is the clothing that sits in a bin for, 9-10 months out of the year that comes out, and I'm like, this is my clothing that, now I'm excited. It's going to be hunting season. I get to wear this. It can get dirty. I can get burrs on it. It can get blood on it. Like, this is my safe clothing that I can wear without my wife saying, you ruined your nice clothes, to some effect. But there's also arguments about, like, plaid. Or do you even need camo at all? And to what degree and so forth? And obviously, you can get it done a lot of ways. But this is an interesting thought process when we consider the podcast that we're on, the OKS Hunter podcast. Because some would say, us OKS Hunters, we can't afford this, or we shouldn't be doing that, or I can go to Walmart. And that's all good and dandy.
Right.
And I think the Whitetail Adrenaline guys have done a good job just kind of making stuff happen by playing chess with these deer. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, some of us need more tools than others to get the job done, and we need all the help we can get. So like, there's a spectrum in that argument there that I could get on board with a bunch of them.
Fair. Yeah.
But one of the comments that just came through, and I'll toss it up on the screen, and I don't, I hope it doesn't put us just in like an awkward spot, but it is a question, and it's a question from a listener. The real question is, are they affordable? And that's relative. Like, is a pack of gum affordable in our economy? No, I'll just deal with the bad breath. Sorry, everybody. But like, choices are made.
So this was not intentional. It goes back, honestly, to Derek when you were talking about like you were almost going down the pathway of development, right? All of the things that go into development and making it efficient to bring something that we believe is a hole in a need for the consumer to life. And that's what's so cool about this job. Our expertise is in development, is in manufacturing side. It's within, the resources that we have between the three of us that have run this are able then to bring to life really good quality products at an affordable price. We can sell a top and a bottom for the same price as the top of a higher end competitor, and
without meaning to. It wasn't like we
right.
were
Like
be
it
half
was not.
price or anything.
It was not intentional for us to see. I come from a product strategy and product development hat for years, and usually you look at the competitive landscape and say, where can we position this, and also where's the gap within the need, right? It focused organically on the need for bow hunters and happened to be with the expertise and efficiencies within our manufacturing capabilities to say, now we can actually offer this at a price that everyone's going to be like, wait, really? And we talk about this all the time. So to Nick's question, yes, it is affordable, something we're super proud of. This was not intentional for us to dig at anybody that's out there within the huge landscape that our brand is in, but we're very proud to be able to offer quality products at an affordable price and it really came from a true intention of just solving the need for the bow hunter.
Well, running a business is really challenging. Margins play a big role in your ability to scale and serve a consumer market. And, we sell a $30 hat, and we'll get comments on our ads that are like, yeah, you guys got 80% profit margin in that hat. I can go buy it for $6. I'm like, bro, you can buy it for $6. You will put me out of business.
Right.
Because that is not a thing. Like, let me tell you a little bit about landed cost on a hat. That's $30. Like, our margins ain't that thick.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Like, shit's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of time and effort and energy that goes into stuff. From literally product design should be a part of the factorization. But where is it getting manufactured? How is it getting put together? What is the shipping cost to get this shit to you? And where is it being stored? What's the warehousing cost? Like, there's so many pieces from even something like a simple hat that people are like, yeah, right, I can get that for $6. Like, no, you cannot. Not maybe if you get in your DeLorean that I've said 3 times now and go back to 1987, you could buy a hat for $6. And probably look the damn same, actually, because that's what we're mimicking. Like, we've come full circle from a fashion sense. We're now back in 1970, which I think is kind of fun, actually.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we were having some fun chatting before we hit the record button, talking about different camo brands. And could you rattle some of those off again? Like, that was pretty nostalgic.
Like I said, you guys mentioned Jim Crumley, and I know Jim really well. I've hunted with him a couple different times. He's just an unbelievable guy, but he was kind of the king guy when I started. We were selling tree bark camouflage, woodland, tiger stripe. They were kind of the big ones. Both Toxie and Bill had started. He had Bottomland, and then, Bill had camouflage with, it was when he came out with Greenleaf Realtree, which was putting the Realtree on just the bark-like pattern that he had at that time. I'm talking about Bill. That was a big deal in 1990-ish, and it was.
I remember thinking that was the cool stuff.
Oh god,
my dad's giving me this hand-me-down, bark pattern. I'm like, I want the cool stuff.
Dude, we have the VHS tapes, like Monster Bucks from back, from 1990, from way back. And I remember them rolling out the new patterns in the beginning of those videos. And it was like, oh my God, it looks like a real tree. Holy shit.
It's got more gray in it. It's got more brown in it. It's got green in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a real?
Then it was photorealism, and it was 8 colors or better than 6, and 10 is
Yeah.
better than 8, and 12 is better than, and went all the way up to 15. And now we're back to, no, you got to like the originals. Those are the way to go. Now we're going back to the retro
style.
4 colors of the
Seriously. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned Skyline Camo, and then Predator Camo is another one that's out there. Fleet's
Absolutely.
another one that's kind of got that same kind of vibe. First Light's got several different types, and then you get into the more digital stuff that Gore has out there. There's so many different things. And we talked about how yours sort of absorbs light, or it absorbs light. And what's the scoop with your pattern? What's yours like?
It's a great question. And actually, in my career at Cabela's, we had a lot of our own internal camouflages, dozens of them actually, which were really more created from the sourcing side than they were, they were great patterns. We worked hard on them, but for a while there, to compete, we really had to take advantage of supply chain, and there was too many regulations in it. So a lot of it had to do with just freeing up, our ability to go and source fabrics and do manufacturing where we wanted to. But anyway, really wanted to change the game when we came out with our camo. We knew we needed something unique and different, hopefully better, which is hard to do after there's literally been thousands of camouflages introduced. But we're proud of the fact that our camo is not Ev's art or Jamie's art or someone's art, which is primarily how things have been done. I mean, there's some computer generated stuff out there, but it's usually, like the old educational TV. I'm going to put a leaf here. It's a tree here. And that's kind of,
I like that.
Yeah, that's sort of how it went.
Call that a happy accident.
Yeah. So it sounds like Bob Ross.
Yes,
Happy
yes.
little tree here.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to go. And we went to and said, what does this camo need to do? And it was really about tree stand hunting. So we said, well, and one day we were just talking about, well, how high is a tree stand? And so we started talking to semi-informal, but we wanted to be precise. And we talked to our network people and came up with about 100 samples of tree stand heights and came out with an average tree stand height of 14.8 feet, which you put a 6-foot average person in that, belt line height to 17.8, rounded up to 18. And then we looked at the most common trees in kind of a target area in the Midwest and looked at the branch sizes and density at that 18-foot mark. And that drove the element composition and the pattern. And then the colors came from those same trees. Because we're knit, as we talked about earlier, we only have 4 color capabilities. So that was pretty prescribed, where we just said, hey, we need to take the, kind of bookend it with a light and a dark. That's the most common. And then the 2 most common middle colors. And that drove the colors and the pattern, and the rest is history. It's called S18, which stands for Stand 18. And, but it is a scientific approach, even though people tell you science. It's like, well, what's the science? And I just told you what our science was. And I think we're proud of the fact that it's not our internal camo. It's more from research and how people are sitting in trees.
Yeah, because I imagine a number of folks probably look at who the suppliers are, what the materials are, what they can get, and then just go to market. I'm not going to name a brand here, but I cruise through Alibaba sometimes, and I noticed a camo pattern over there that I've never seen anywhere else. I've never seen it. I thought, oh, it's kind of interesting. I'm looking like what could look cool on a hat. Like, I'm not trying to make a camouflage company, just for the record. Okay, like I have no wherewithal to do that. That being said, probably like a month after that, and I shared it with my business partner Tyler. I'm like, dude, look at this camo. I've never seen this. A month later, I sent a screenshot of where I've seen it in the wild, so to speak, and I'm like, look who's going to Alibaba for their camouflage.
Was there
the company? I'm not going to say the name because I'm not trying to dog anybody. I'll show you guys later, but it just goes to show, like, a number of businesses are probably looking at what's available to them and then working backwards from that, which is not how you're approaching it at all, which is good. Not to say the others are bad, but it's not with that scientific consumer mind of like being a value add or an enabler of a bow hunter. It's more of like an enabler of like, how can we make more money with a new fun, cool pattern? That's different, and how technical can you get when you're using the same supplier overseas that everyone is using with the same supply chain? Like, there's only so much you can do to tweak that, unless you are Gore, which is like a $4 billion company. That's different, and I imagine some interface with them, but not at the level of others. So it's like, how deep are your pockets? How much capital can you raise to really do this? And I think I have to imagine you guys are fairly scrappy. I don't know how deep your pockets are, Ev, but I imagine what you've done here is less to do with the capital and more to do with the science you just talked about, which I find to be really awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it was one piece at a time, and it was like going back, we said, here's kind of the big three, and concealment being one of them, and said, we have to do the pattern. So that was a project that took 2 years, but had some local people that sort of took our visions and our information and put it into art, or into a schematic that we could actually create, fabric from. And same thing with designs. I mean, really proud of the fact that, networks are a big deal. I've had a great career and of making the best out of friends and acquaintances, and no different here. We have some design people that I've met 20 years ago and stayed in contact, and they're excited to be a part of it. And it goes back to that question too on affordability. That's really why we can do it. I mean, it's not saying we're completely vertical, but the design of the clothing's in-house, the vision's in-house. I just got back from the factory. I'll be sending samples out to the design person in the FedEx box, walked over and dumped it off. I mean, we're truly a 2.5 person team, 3 person team. We have a partner named Darren over in Iowa that is great guy and has done an awful lot. He's a full-time farmer too, so he's in a combine tonight. But
where are you guys located, by the way? Where are you?
We're in Sidney, Nebraska.
Yep.
Okay.
I've never left. I moved into Sydney in '87, and swore I'd be here a year. And
Funny, it's like the same thing. When I moved out here 10 years ago, I was like, I'm not staying out here. And well,
we have a big antelope out here, though. It's made it a little easier.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Well, part of this podcast title is October Lull, because I was trying to bolt on some other fun stuff here, and we're in the smack dab middle of October, and I don't know how lull like it is.
Well, here's my transition to the October lull, and to something Jamie brought up before. I was thinking about your Alibaba camo.
Yeah,
and like how people are trying to just jump into whatever looks cool, try to make a penny. I get it.
Yep.
And I think the reason that works so well is Jamie mentioned before that your camo is kind of your uniform. Like a lot of guys like, oh, I'm going hunting, I need camo, so you just wear camo. The camo is not really thought of as a tool. We've had this conversation many times.
You and I have slightly different viewpoints.
We have very different viewpoints, because my camo is absolutely my tool. I think about it. I'm a visual artist as well as you.
Yep.
Like I'm an art teacher, so the visual impact of camouflage has always intrigued me, and I've always thought of it. But the October lull thing. So like my encounter the other day with that big buck, I work really hard to scout and find these deer and get on these deer. Why would I chance anything?
Right.
With the limited time that we have, why would I chance the visual element, which is so important to me? I'm a very visual person. So it makes sense that I would use my camouflage as a tool as much as
100%.
possible to not let that be a factor at all. So like October lull, it's hard enough to get on a deer per the experts because the deer are not moving. But like the camo is everything for me. Like,
and you have different. So, and Derek, just for reference here, Derek has several different camos for different scenarios, trees, skylines, time of season. Like you have a number of different.
Oh yeah.
Like he's got the most hodgepodge
I do.
mixture of camouflage.
But it makes sense. It makes sense when he throws it out there. I've got some old fleet stuff. If I'm hunting in a birch tree, or I know I'm going to be skyline more, I would wear that shirt over all my other stuff.
Well, we've got so many dead oaks in all of our lowland stuff. We had the emerald ash borer come through a number of years ago. Most of them are falling down, but in a lot of these areas that we would consider transitions or bedding areas, there's tons of dead ash trees, and the only trees you can hunt in.
Right.
Well, you wear any kind of real tree or dark blotchy camo, you stand out black skyline like crazy from any direction. But you throw on snow camo that's mostly white, they never look up at you.
No.
Yeah.
It's wild. I don't know. I can't believe more people don't. Like the uniform comment Jamie made was like spot on. So many people don't really think of it as like a tool. You just put on camo.
I think of it as like,
camo.
I just bought this expensive ass camo system, pattern, whatever. I'm freaking wearing this. And at some point it actually is a detriment, because it's like, it doesn't matter where I'm going, because that's all I have.
Yeah.
And so like if I had the the cash, I'd probably buy a whole bunch of camo.
My
And be
shit's
super
just
prepared,
all old junk
you
from
know?
Right.
thrift stores. and
I've actually
stuff.
found I could be more diverse in my coloration by just buying a bunch of flannels that match because they're cheap. I can get a flannel for $20. But like, this is it. This is why our podcast is so fun. I think because we cover between the three of us, we have different viewpoints, we have different styles, and different approaches and different camouflages. Like, we are agnostic, and there's room for a lot of different viewpoints and thoughts. And it's why it's fun to do what we do here, because we can flesh out any conversation we want, and people can take it how they want to.
You do darn well in your flannels. I'll give you that. You do darn well.
I'll take, like I've said, I'll take luck any day of the week, and I'll happily luck my way into a buck. But
There you go.
Agreed.
we do have a caller on the line. If you guys want to entertain a caller, we have he's a regular, and he's called in from the stand before after having shot at a doe. So I'm going to bring him in. It's Noah, and hopefully Noah's got some good questions for you guys. Noah, welcome to the show. You're live, man. How you doing?
Oh, just great. Had a great night out in the stand.
You coming in? You're just coming off the stand right now, aren't you?
Yep, just right now.
I can hear it in your breath.
Well, I had a little 7-pointer actually walk about 10 feet in front of my stand tonight,
Nice.
but I let him walk.
Hey, your tag, your hunt, buddy.
Yeah, man.
You know, you do.
Yep,
You.
yep.
I can't say I would have done the same at this point right now.
Oh no, I was tempted. He was great broadside. Just I have bigger stuff up north that I'm trying to hunt up there, so it was a tough decision, to be honest.
Good night just to watch and enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's always nice too. Then you can feel
Yep.
content. What are you wearing for camouflage?
So right now I'm actually wearing some Cabela stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
On my first light. Yeah, my base layer I'm normally doing first light. I bought some more of their stuff this year. And right now it's just Cabela stuff because all my first light stuff was in the wash today.
Stay away from those UV brighteners.
You know, I'm sure you guys have alluded to it. I'm looking at picking up some Sitka stuff, but a little pricey.
Yeah.
A little. It's the most pricey stuff on the entire market, and you're not going to the Arctic. It's over-engineered for what it is. I think it'll do the job, but you probably don't need it. It'd be like, you know, my 6-year-old hopping in a Ferrari. It's just not necessary. You know, it can go the distance. You just don't need it. But I think talking to these guys, you might change your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at these guys, but to change your mind about that, Eric, last year for the opener for gun season, you know, I was up in Tomahawk.
Yeah,
it was negative.
I know
6
what it was.
degrees.
Yeah,
with a 15-mile-an-hour wind.
It was windy. Yeah, it was real windy.
It was a little wicked.
That Sitka stuff might have helped a little bit that day.
No way, man. Because come hell or high water, I'm getting down to go eat lunch regardless.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
No matter how many little Debbies are in Eric's back, they're never gonna.
I either gotta poop, pee, or eat, and I'm getting down and
It's
walking
never
back
gonna
and
tide him
warming up.
over.
Take a nap in the truck, head back up. But I'll wait till the other guys go. I can hang out a little longer, but it's gonna happen. Truck's never too far, guys.
I shot all my biggest bucks in Wisconsin between 10 and 2. Between 10 and 2.
Thanks for the call, Noah. We appreciate you, man.
Good luck out there, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Noah.
Thanks, Noah.
It's good stuff. It's always fun to get callers calling. I know he's a good patron of our. Comes to our trade show booth. He comes to our foam fest. He calls him the podcast. We got to get him some more hoodies.
Yeah.
Where's he from, guys? I didn't catch that.
He's from Wisconsin here.
Somewhere here in Wisconsin. I don't remember where, but
Cool.
Love it.
and probably told me on his caller ID. I could probably take a look. Madison is where his caller ID says, so maybe I'm giving away too much.
I don't think Madison. Pretty big spot.
Noah and Madison.
But no, it's I don't know.
I love the cold weather questions. I mean, I think I've frozen as much or more than anyone else out there, and it's such a quest for me to kind of figure that whole deal out. And not that I know more about it than anyone or smarter about it than anyone, but to me, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do, and it's almost as much of a hunt to learn how to. I mean, it's like the guys that go in the backcountry, and how do I live back here for 10 days and carry that all on my back? And for me, it's almost like that with cold weather hunting the tree stand. How can I sit at 6 below for 8 hours? And I mean, everything matters, is kind of our company slogan at this point, but particularly when it's that cold. And it's a really fun science in and of itself for us. And we're really happy with the way the gear does in those conditions, by the way, but it's way beyond our gear. It's just, I think for us, it's a big philosophy and science and kind of a quest to dial that in.
Well, we'd love to try it out. We'll have to talk about that offline, but
Yeah.
we do have another caller, and I don't know if I know this caller. It says Nathan on the caller ID. We'll bring him on. Nathan, you're live on the podcast. You got any questions for Code of Silence here? Well, we got him on.
I just got I might get crucified for this one, but I've got a question about saddle hunting. I'm kind of getting into it, and I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on it, on if it's a good idea or a bad idea.
Depends on who you talk to on this particular day of the
What are your
week.
Yeah. Who do you want to answer that question?
I'm a big fan.
Anybody can answer this question. So I've looked into it. So it's pretty much the same thing as an arborist would use to going up in a tree.
Correct.
So would it be a bad idea to use just tree spikes instead of using ladder sticks to go up the tree
if you're
instead of keeping it?
if you're allowed to do so on your if you're hunting public land, like here, we're not allowed to use tree spikes. It's got to be sticks that are removable, nothing that can harm the tree, so to speak.
Okay.
But if you're doing it on private land, I mean, it's up to the landowner, I guess. But I know a buddy. I have a buddy that's an arborist, and that's what he uses. I watched him go up and down trees real fast.
Yeah, they're a great option if it's legal in your area. Great option. You're still going to want something.
Because I'm in Kentucky. I'm like northern part of Kentucky, so I'm literally like in the corner of like Indiana and Ohio.
You're up by the Go Wild boys. Talk to them. But no, I think try like you. Man, if you were closer, you could come to Foam Fest, and we hang a bunch of them that people can literally shoot from, which is unique in the sense you can go to trade show, but you're not going to shoot your bow from them. Mm-hmm. They'll have them on the telephone poles on the trade show floor, and you can get in it and get out of it, but you're not drawing your bow back and letting one rip. But I would say there's enough people around you. Like if you are on the Go Wild app, I would put a note on there as a question to the community. You're going to get a lot of good positive feedback, and then from there, you might be close enough to some of those boys where they might give you a couple to try or something like that, or find some people in your community to like, you got to try it out for yourself to know. And I highly, highly recommend a 2-panel setup because one is like a diaper.
Okay.
And it just feels awkward. Like you can't pull it down enough. You can't get your adjustability. So that's my personal biggest recommendation. Speaking from experience on hunting out of both.
They absolutely have their place. Like I've got my saddle and I've got my hang on. I think, to be honest, something that I've never really mentioned before, but I think being a shorter guy, it's a lot harder for me to swing, and like I don't have the distance from the tree to get around my bridge and to go to my weak side. My little T-Rex arms are just not cutting it. But if you're a taller guy,
I don't want to hear that. That doesn't make me happy.
Yeah, I'm not a tall guy, and it's not working great for me, but it definitely has its place.
Well, and even too, like to your point, you love the 2-panel. I love it too, but we're taller guys. Where a smaller person might not like that 2-panel because it's drooping and falling in weird places, maybe a single panel will be fine for them.
Good point.
You're hunting out of a single panel, aren't you? Or is
I was, not anymore.
Okay. No, fair enough.
No, I'm not out of hang on.
Nope, not after last weekend.
Not after Sunday.
No, forget it.
Well, cool. That's a great question,
I've been trying to get on here for like the past, like, not joke, like the past month, because every time I've got on that, either I was getting out of the stand and thought you guys were broadcasting, got all excited, was like driving out so I could get service. And then it was already said done. I was like so daggone mad. I was like, this is taking forever. And finally the night I was sitting here watching. I was like, all right, I'm definitely calling for the night just to get this question to figure out to ask about it.
Yeah, if you're not on Go Wild, I highly recommend joining Go Wild. You pose a question there. It's different than putting in a Facebook group. You're going to have a really positive outcome. You can pose as a question under the deer hunting,
and you have the ability to see where people are close to the area.
Somebody will offer.
You can filter to nearby, and then people will. Someone will. I don't want to guarantee, but I want to guarantee it that someone's going to say, "Hey, man, I have a couple. You can try them out."
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate it. You guys keep doing what you're doing, and in all honesty, if you guys ever come up towards North Kentucky, need a place to hunt, I got about a 500-acre farm that I can have anyone come out and hunt. So if you guys need a place and you're in a pinch,
Oh, we'll fuck it all up.
If
Yeah,
you need-
yeah. You want to bring us there?
Just hunt on the other side. Send us one way.
Yeah.
You go the other way.
Take the good stuff. Take the good stuff. Leave us.
Thanks for the
I'm
call.
dead serious. Like if you guys need it,
Thank
and
you.
want a place to come hunt, the guy allows anybody to come out there. So
That's
and
awesome.
it's an amazing place to hunt.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Great,
Good luck
man.
this
Thank
season.
you.
But I'll keep calling in to you guys, and if
We're
you
not-
guys need
yeah.
to reach out or anything, I'll hit you up on Instagram or anything.
We're here every Tuesday, man. You know how to find us.
Cool, man.
Good deal.
Okay.
Good luck.
All right. Awesome, guys. It was great talking to you. Thanks for
Yes.
the
Have a good
input.
night.
You
Yeah.
bet. Well, it wasn't as much about camo as it was saddle. Sorry, guys.
That is
but,
fun though.
No, that's
Like
cool.
that is really cool.
Hey,
We-
but here's a question related to the saddles and their camo. So one thing I've noticed about like, oh gosh, now I don't remember the word. What's the word that you use to describe your wool blend? It's like pilled,
It's a pill
High pile.
pile,
piled. Yeah. So
like carpet.
because you're using air as an insulator and breathability, so like in a saddle, you're compressing,
compressing
all of that.
that.
So
Yes,
like
you
in
are.
your bibs and whatnot, like, is that going to make a difference on a real cold day? Like, you think
Your
that's
butt,
gonna
maybe.
you're gonna get a cold cheeks or what's going on there? I mean, most times in the saddle, I think you do.
Probably where the pressure points are definitely will be. I mean, hip pinch is always a thing, no matter what saddle you wear. But anywhere that it's going to be compressed, I would imagine it would be. But
it felt really weird
they're
when
the
I
experts,
blazed
not
orange
me.
last year compared to bow hunting.
We can sure double up the insulation. We can have a new for 25.
There you go.
Saddle
System.
hunting. Focus.
That one, people try on in the store with the
I don't
big
know.
padded butt. They
There's-
might not like that look.
Like, I think you're onto something. I've actually heard feedback from people who were passionate.
But
saddle hunters.
even sitting in a tree stand, even if you have an insulated butt pad, if you're sitting, you're still compressing your layers.
True.
Here's something interesting though. Like I'll get in the saddle, and I won't be fully, I won't have everything on. I'll sometimes put stuff on over my saddle, and that doesn't bode super well because of the way things fall into place with your lineman belt and all that stuff. Like, gosh, that'd be a really tiny market, but boy, wouldn't that be neat if one of the saddle companies made a garment that paired with a brand like yours that was designed to go over some of those ropes in such a way where you could zip up and still be concealed in.
Well, you already know my story. I get sweaty setting up. So I don't ever wear my outer layer climbing up and hooking on my saddle, but then you can't ever get your outer layer in the saddle.
because you're not taking your
when
saddle
you
off
get
when
up
you're up there.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
why
now
this-
you're trying to put your
that's why I
jacket
take
on.
the hang on all the time. It is
the
a
hang on.
mess.
You have your what's that thing on your back? The
tether, your
Safety harness.
Yeah, safety
Like
harness.
a monkey on a string. But a lot of these companies, and I'm sure Code of Silence is the same way, they made sure that they have a opening in the back
so a lot
of the
people have
jacket.
already. So that's been a thing. So at some point, someone's like, "Gosh, wouldn't it be great if someone makes one for a tree stand hunter to have this thing come out the back?" Here I am saying it on the record. Okay, I'm not the guy with the wherewithal to go execute against it, but the idea is out there. Someone could probably fabricate something.
The saddle jacket.
That could work. The saddle jacket. There you have it. The
Hey,
late season saddle jacket.
If you guys make one in Grandpa Plaid, I think you got your first customer right
There you
here.
go. We'll call it the Eric series.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we
Oh,
go.
Don't call it that. You'll never sell anything.
We're all ears. We really are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're we don't do a lot of saddle hunting in this part of the country, but
It is a booming market. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's huge.
No, it's
Yeah.
Lots of people.
It's
using
ridiculous
it.
how many people,
That's
how
what
many companies blew up over COVID, just like everything else. There's a ton of them.
Oh, I thought of another question for these guys. I don't know. I haven't been out trekking across the prairies of South Dakota very often. Do you guys have stick tights and burrs? How does that? I hunt in Illinois a lot, and the burrs and briars and
Yeah.
multiflora rows are just
What's that
thick.
company?
That stuff's awful.
The burr paw.
the bear paw, burr
Yeah.
paw.
Can you
Does
can I
that
buy
work
that
on
with
your product?
camo?
I'm imagining your.
It
I
does.
mean,
It does fairly well. We've actually played with that product with our fabrics, and actually we go to the Iowa Deer Classic every year, and that guy's shown there, and so we walked, gone over in his booth and tested it out. We do not, that's probably not one of our best attributes of the product. Because of the high pile and the texture
yeah.
of the fabric.
That's a tough one to get around.
Yeah. We
But
gotta
it's a
think
lot why we
too-
do the leg zips and stuff.
Right,
So,
yeah.
you know, if you are in those scenarios and where it's almost unmanageable, you know, carrying your gear in, which I know can be tough if it's not that cold. It's like, well, what do you want me to wear? Just, you know, a pair of shorts, and then, you know, kind of you have a bigger problem then with trying to walk through burrs. But there's ways around it, I guess. And we think, and we can build bird-proof. There's like waterproof stuff. We can build bird-proof stuff with the best of them, but you know, you're not going to like the warmth.
Probably the trade-off.
You're not going to like the visual side of it, and there's that balance. And we do have some, I guess not to steal our own thunder for next year, but we do have some flatter fabrics that we're pretty proud of right now. They're going to allow us to get into earlier season stuff,
more
base
active
layers,
Yep.
more active stuff. Where
Good.
they're not going to be bird-proof stuff by any means, but they're not going to be quite the.
That's tough
No,
to get around.
I
man.
didn't ask the question. Obviously, sorry. Go ahead, Jamie.
I was gonna say I would challenge somebody to say too, like who builds clothing, like tell me a pair of apparel that is burr resistant.
There's always a trade-off. I mean, you
Right.
want to be warm, you want to be quiet. There's a
Right.
trade-off. You're going to catch burrs.
Until Predator falls out of the sky from outer space, like we're just always going to be, you know.
I walked into a 7-foot tall burdock plant
What
in the
is
dark
this?
the other night. I mean, I
You
was
just
covered in them.
bring up Predator from outer space? I actually Googled that and showed a student Predator, the movie, today as a reference. It's very strange that you brought that up. Don't ask me why I brought it up.
He's
to a
pointing at
student.
me. I'm like, he's onto something here. Oh, man.
That guy had the ultimate concealment, almost as good as Code of Silence.
I
He had
think
the holographics shit.
Bring that up.
I do. I use
no
that.
joke,
I
like,
use that. I've had some Predator moments in our camo. I really have, where it's like,
You're covered in
you
mud
know, like the first time
underneath
he's covered in mud.
Yeah,
Covered in mud.
totally.
Yeah, the Arnold version.
Signatures, all
Yeah.
that stuff. They don't know where you are.
Yeah, I just love it. You're in movies that are like in my era, sort of. You know,
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
great
buddy.
movie. Great
I
movie.
can watch a movie every time I get lost in my wife's like, you've seen this like 18 times. Like, yeah, but it was 2
I
years
haven't-
ago. I don't
I'm gonna
remember
watch
anymore.
that tonight.
Flashback to childhood, man.
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger was just on the Daily Stoic podcast for anyone that cares about
ain't
it.
got time to bleed.
Ain't got time to bleed.
Exactly. They got time for that.
Billy.
Jesse, that's
Billy.
Jesse. That's Jesse. Yeah.
I think it'd be cool if you guys did sell the burr paw or a burr paw with your camouflage, saying, hey, look, we recognize that we've given you all of these strengths, but with those strengths come weaknesses. And the deficiency that we have is you might get some burrs. Here's a great tool to remove it, just much like a broadhead company might sell you broadheads with a pack of Band-Aids for dipshits like me that cut themselves.
That is a brilliant marketing. When I got G5 stuff, I was like, this is brilliant. Like, why didn't I think of that?
I had an idea the other day about selling toilet paper with something, but I couldn't remember what the idea
Do
was.
you guys see Bomar's new broadheads? He sells 2 little finger pockets to come with them because they open at like 750 miles per hour. So cut right to your bone. So he sells these little blades.
Wow.
Yeah, Josh Bomar's got his broadheads. Just came out.
I'm just waiting for him to use the buck grunt tube that he bought from us in Iowa.
Man, if there's a video with that OKS Hunter, Matt Shrine, bow grunt, that's going to be amazing.
I'm waiting for him to light something on fire.
He's going to light our buck grunt tube on fire with his mouth. Gasoline somehow. Exactly.
This is where the bourbon starts kicking in.
Yeah. We give him all the stunt ideas. I'm just kidding. We don't. No one can be that reckless.
I beg to differ.
Well, he does listen to the show from time to time.
No way.
The literal time you mentioned him once, he commented, and I was like, they're going to get his ass beat. He's a huge dude.
It's fine.
Well,
Get hit, you just get right back up. It's fine.
not by that guy. I'm going to stay down for a while. Enjoy the stars. Like a nice night up north. Sorry, we take the podcast to weird places, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
No judgment.
Nick asked, he said, where is Code of Silence out of? I think we answered that. It was Nebraska, right?
Yep.
Western Rod, still in Sydney. Jamie actually lives in Lodgepole, but it's really
Old
close. Yeah.
Lodgepole. Yep. Tiny little town.
You'd wonder how a whitetail bow hunting, company was formed right here. We don't have a lot of trees, but
That's what I thought was so funny when you were talking about the science behind the camo and the average stand height being 18 feet. I was like, well, they must have went elsewhere to measure. I don't think they got a stand you can get 18 feet in.
Yep.
no, for sure.
That's
And the
cool.
website is just codeofsilence.com.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. Free shipping on orders of $200. Nice work. Good stuff. Yeah, you guys got. I'll put up on the screen here because no one knows what I'm talking about. Give me just a moment, and we will...
Here's our products behind us. I guess. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, your products behind you have actually blended in really damn well. So
Yeah, you wanna grab one and like bring it a little bit closer to the camera, maybe, so we can get a better look at it.
I gotta say before you do that,
you brought it up on the screen.
I really like this vest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks.
That's something that I like.
So the Zone 7 dialed in bib, is that one of your like cold weather gear bibs?
It's kind of our it's not our heaviest product. We built that's new. It's a new series this year. We have our Zone 7, which was kind of our workhorse. It's called the Zone 7 Versatile Series because it just was so versatile. You wear it by itself when it was kind of, low 40s, really. I've hunted all the way down to upper single digits. You got to stretch it pretty hard and layer a lot to get it to work in those cold conditions. And I'm like, I think last year I think it was Noah was saying, how cold it was. And he's right. I mean, we spent a lot of time in tree stands at 7 degrees last year and just felt like we were pushing our Zone 7 too hard. So we wanted to, and plus we had a lot of requests for a bib in the Zone 7 series. So we said, let's just raise it a notch. And so we came out with the dialed in parka and then the dialed in bib. This is actually 4 layers, which goes into a lot about, we talked about thermal efficiency, air being, key to that. But there's 4 layers in this, but more importantly, there's, 3 air layers between those 4 layers. So you can, not as beneficial as having a huge air layer, but those 4 layers in themselves, it's amazing the difference they make in insulation. But at the same time, we wanted this piece to be really non-bulky, and so we use a special insulation. So you have the outer Berber wool, you have a full windproof layer, and then you have a special insulation that, to my knowledge, we're the only ones that carry it, but it's compressed. It's compressed insulation called windsulation, and then you have a treacle lining. So you have upwards of about 750 grams of fabric and 3 air layers in a coat that you will not feel like you're the Michelin man in the sand. You can still get it done, still move. I can layer in this coat, and I would look anybody in the eye and say, if you control moisture again and know what you're doing, I'm below zero in this coat. But at the same time, it is not too heavy that, again, carrying it in because it's too warm to wear it in at 42 degrees, I'm probably home too. And that's almost defying gravity. Say, really, I can hunt from 40 to 10 below. Yeah, I mean, the extremes get tougher and you got to know what you're doing, but it's that kind of a workhorse. But I wanted to talk about something real quick. And this is just sort of, I think, the experience side and the little side of things. This is a cuff on the outer side pocket. This is something we've actually trying to patent right now. But this just seals around my wrist, as you can see, tighter than can be. I think we all want to have as bare hand or a small glove to run a release or fingers.
Absolutely.
And you know how it is. I mean, the deer's closing and your hand comes out of that pocket and the clock starts ticking. How long can you make it work? And you can put a hand warmer in that pocket, charcoal hand warmer. I promise you it's 3 times or more warmer than any other pocket you've ever had. And yeah, we all have hand warmer, muff, type things, but this allows you to have almost the same benefits. Fleece lined inside. You still have a zipper on the outside that, keeps gear secure in there like a normal pocket. Plus that cuff does that really well, but it's just standard. And it's just kind of a good example, I guess, a metaphor for kind of the thought that goes into all of our stuff.
Now, I hope I'm not putting my foot in my mouth here, but it looks like based on the design of the pocket, that's not like a sewed over the top pocket. Like, is that your fabric that's got the 3 air layers going over the outside of the pocket there?
So this pocket would go inside of that, would go almost into the inner lining. So you'd still have the outer benefit of the wool and the windproofing.
I gotta say, it just looks cozy.
You have 2 winds.
It just looks super freaking cozy.
You got your pumpkin spice latte.
I want a pair just to wear around the house. Can you make that in a solid so I can have pajamas?
Well, and here goes back to another point too. And we were I guess being in the industry as long as I have and working hard to make better clothes and better camo, and again, not knocking anybody, but you see, chartreuse green poles and big giant green and
Too
orange
cute and stuff.
logos
Yeah.
and solid color paneling. And I'm really like, do you guys even believe that camo works? Because you're working as hard as you can to make sure it doesn't.
Thank you.
And so you see like these cuffs. I mean, 70% of this cuff is the outer shell of the fabric. We still get by with the stretchability and adaptability, whether you want to go inside of gloves or over the top of gloves with the special stretch fleece panel. But everything visually on the outside is still camo. Same thing with our hoods. We could save some money and make that a solid brown or a black like everybody else does. It'd probably save us $4 or $5 on this garment. That fabric is, I won't talk about cost, but it's expensive fabric. But whether that's hoods up or whether it's laying on your back, we want it to be as camouflaged as the rest of the garment. So, 99% of the face of this garment is camo, and it's our technology. And we're heading the other direction to make it more camo. Everybody else is trying to,
other
bling on it to make
good.
it look like it's going to sell at retail. And it's like, fine, knock yourself out, but that's not where we're going. So
Yeah, other people are trying to push into everyday wear too.
Sorry to go off, but
that's good. That's the kind of stuff we want to hear.
It's interesting. I am kind of in the industry to some degree with my professional day job. Like, I get to see how some sausage is made in certain places, and it's very fascinating. And there are some brands that care a whole lot. They really are. There's some that I think probably don't, to your point, and I think it shows. Like, I think I think the savvy consumer knows what's going on. I think some that check in on November 19th for the day of gun opener, that's a different consumer than the folks that are bow hunting for the 3-4 months that we get to bow hunt.
Right.
There's a different level. There's a spectrum there. I'm not bagging on anybody that doesn't care as much. It's totally cool. Like, I got a buddy that's like really excited to go buy some new Blaze Orange, and good for him. Like, he should be excited about that. But I'm like, bro, I would spend money on something different and just get a Blaze Orange vest. But it sounds good.
I mean, spend the money on nice camo clothing, especially if you're going to bow hunt.
Yeah.
But again, he's going to be
He's
a gun hunter. That's all he wants to do.
Yep. No, it's very interesting. But I'm serious. If you guys don't April Fool's me and make a full-on onesie of that material so I can look like a giant teddy bear, I'm all in.
Oh boy, here we go.
You got two jobs, guys. You got the Clark series, the Eric Clark series setup, and then you got the teddy bear. I'm Eric Clark teddy bear onesie.
Teddy bear bros.
Teddy bear bros.
Non-camouflage, one-piece coat of silence.
Ideally
with the butt flap.
The button butt flap.
Don't forget the button and the butt flap.
Noted. Okay.
If the butt flap could be buffalo plaid, that'd be great.
Ooh, now you're talking my language.
Wow, now you're getting creative.
My love language is buffalo plaid.
I'll be sure I'm not buffalo plaid then.
Steer clear, Gregor.
Yeah, no doubt.
We have some really cool can koozies that are buffalo plaid.
Yeah, they are a big hit.
There's no one else on the market making. We got a supplier. They're like, oh, these neoprene. I'm like, no, dog, they're not neoprene. They are pure fleece flannel buffalo plaid. Excuse me, sir.
Take your business elsewhere.
No, it's all good. But
please buy one.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys.
No, it's been awesome.
Yeah, this has been fun.
I had the website.
I went off our beaten path a little bit on a couple things. I mean, it's great clothes. I mean, we quiet, warm. Well formed, well fitting, well featured. In the camo side, you kind of buy in what we said or not, but even regardless, everything else is still true. And we're just trying to build good clothes at a good price. And
what retailers are you guys in? Because obviously you can buy direct from your website. Are you guys in retail? If so, which ones? Like, where can people go to buy it physically if they wanted to?
Yeah, we're in some Shield stores, Sportsman's Guide as well, as another supplier. Who else? And we've opened the gate a little bit to more local type archery shops. So, there's a great archery country in Minnesota.
In the Twin Cities, I think that's
awesome store.
I'm sure some of the listeners are great.
One of the most impressive bow shops I've ever been into, and they carry their money. So if it's a good fit from a partnership standpoint, and our doors are open to relationships and really stores like that. But Shields is the biggest, and definitely some local stores as well.
Very
we
cool.
we kind of took it as a challenge a little bit. We heard, the local dealer can't sell clothing, and it's just tough. And as you've heard, there's such a story to be told, and it's hard to get that out of just a big box retailer or an online retailer. So we really hope, because of the price and the uniqueness and the storytelling, that it can be a way for the small dealer to be successful. So we're wide open on that.
No, it's cool. We got a great shop by us in Dousman, Wisconsin called Whale Tails. They're a premier archery shop in our area. And by premier, I mean like they take really good care of their consumers. Good fellas there. Any sales coming up? Denton asked, which is followed up by clearance, factory seconds, question mark. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday, anything going on there for the listeners that you like? All that's going to do is pull revenue forward. So if you're going to get the sale, you're just going to get it on that day rather than waiting for the end of the year. So like that's how those things work. But
right now, so we have a new series, the Merino series. We have our exclusive half zip that's on sale right now. I think we're
trying to get that rolling and push a little bit and sell some people with it.
Between the holiday season, we're looking to definitely do some sales, help our consumers out.
We don't really play the high-low game.
Don't do it. It's a drug you'll never get off of. It's heroin, and if you get on it, you'll never get off. But like, it's expected on a Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so those are safe days you can play with.
Yes, like we will have some cool opportunities within those holiday timeframes. But to Ev's point, I mean, we're wanting to, and we have, and feel really good about the price positioning of our products. We don't intend to play high-low game. But definitely in the holiday.
We always have inventory to move through, and
and have big
changes coming up, and a lot of new stuff coming out next year. So we'll kind of make a little bit of room. But
I say if it
more
was
after the season than in the season.
That makes sense.
And
plus, we're very supportive of our retail guys.
For sure.
But, it really don't want to catch those guys blindsided, and all of a sudden, and they're trying to compete with us online, that we're 30% off, and
they're like for that map pricing.
Yeah. Well, I think scrolling through your website here at the products that you guys have on there, it's pretty safe to say that nothing is wildly unreasonable on there at all.
Not at all.
It's a very, very fair for the thought and consideration and the size of the company you guys are. I think that's a very fair price range.
Yeah, consumers want the best of both worlds. They want Chinese pricing with Amazon like expediency and American made. It's like you can't have that all.
They don't have it in 3 days. They're bitching.
Yep.
Denton just commented on the screen. Your Papa's Trading Post in Arena, Wisconsin is an awesome archery shop. I've not heard of that one. I also don't know.
I've heard of that one also. That's supposed to be a very good shop.
That's great to know.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, we're always open
to
conversations and relationships like that. Yeah.
I would say if you guys
Whale Tails, Papa's, and Lacrosse Archery, I think, is another good shop too.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys are able to hop on to the YouTube live broadcast feed at some point after this week or our Facebook page, there were a number of comments that came through that you guys could dive into and get deeper on for some of these listeners.
Sure.
Okay.
That would be a good tactic for you, just in general, to make sure you're covering off on folks in case we couldn't get to it on the show.
Okay.
Looks like there was one other question here. We'll grab from deer hunting with Rick the Pheasant. Well, that's the peasant. My bad. That could be the pheasant. Anyway,
Lord have mercy.
I asked a question about the stand
cap.
It's Ev's cap. He's super excited about it.
It's our number one selling cap.
It is. Rick, you'll love it.
It's I'm not sure what the question is on it. It's funny. I know we're about out of time, but Bill Winke is he's a good friend, and he's been a great partner, and I've just been a Bill fan forever, and so we're just really blessed to have him on board. And he's not the stand cap, biggest stand cap fan. He's fine with it. He wears it, loves it, and everything else. But he wore it on one of his first shows last year, and I'll never forget. I was coming back from presenting. It was about a little bit later than this, and he had the stand cap on, and I mean, my phone blew up. I mean, it was like ding, 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 ding. Like, what? And selling.
Bill Winke's got it. It's gold.
Question, but we didn't have it on the website, and and I'm like, these people were messaging me and they're calling me and saying, "Where's the stand cap? I can't buy it." I'm like, "No, it's right on the website. Just go check it out. It's right there." sure as heck, we did not have it on the website. And
Oh, that's crazy.
literally had to stop
needed a photo.
on the
Like
interstate.
a better version of the story.
Emergency
Stormy Kromer.
situation.
I
You needed a
stopped on the
photo.
interstate and ran down in the ditch. I had one with me, and by an ash tree, and took a picture. And that's it. That's
I would have done.
There we go. There's a product picture.
We're not missing on this opportunity. Get that shit live. Let's go. You guys, yeah,
He
hopefully
took
you're
a
on
picture of the
Shopify.
prettiest side of your face and
77
everything.
selfies. Just
That's awesome.
Great.
yeah.
How do you measure? So Rick said he has a giant. Sorry, Rick, you said a fat head, but so does he. So how do you,
Jamie.
well,
Fine,
we
Jamie,
were
he
just
said it.
trying prototype hats on, and I have a tiny head, so it's like extremes. There's no moderation scale between head measurements.
Here's the story that will clear this up. So I had a guy that I was going back and forth through the night about the same topic. He said, "Hey, I'm about a little over 7.5, almost 7.5/8." And I said, "Dude, I can relate. I'm not quite that big, but I said, I think it'll work." And I was a little bit apprehensive of saying that. And he just messaged me and he said, "We're good on that bigger size." And I'm 7 and
the opposite problem.
I'm kind of 7. What would it be? 7/16, and not 7.5. And that bigger size still works for me too. So
Okay.
That's cool. Great question. Thanks for the question.
That's a long answer.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps, Rick. Appreciate it.
Cool. Well, I'm going to end the live broadcast. Go to codeofsilence.com if you're interested in taking a look at this stuff. Thanks for the callers I called in, all the comments. We appreciate everybody. I expect some more reviews. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care. But,
No, but it'd be cool if you did.
Yeah,
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
It'd be a lot
cooler
cooler if you
Yeah,
did.
what is that like? What is that from?
I don't know.
That's from something.
It is.
Ah, damn it. Bitch and Camaro. It sort of reminds me of, I don't know why.
No.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, for being
Strong
okay with
ending.
us.
Thank you.
Dazed and confused, man.
Thank you.
God.
Greg knew. Greg's old.
Thanks.
Gotcha.
Greg's bedtime. We gotta go.
Fine. Kiss my ass.
I feel like Rick was your guy.
Yeah, he was.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bedtime.